Okay, so our next subtitle, industrialized farmers. So here we're talking about the benefits of industrialism to the farmers in America. First, new tools. So before this, farmers had largely been using hand tools to get by, things like handmade plows, hoes, shovels, forks, and rakes. And these worked perfectly fine, but they are now going to be replaced by mechanical equipment and just various inventions that speed up the tasks of farming, starting with metal plows that replace the old handmade plows that are made with replaceable parts by none other than John Deere, starting in 1833. So we know John Deere is those green tractors, but they go back a whole lot earlier than that, and they really start out with these metal plows. But other inventions occur around the same time, mechanical reapers and threshing machines. And in fact, all of these things that are created in America end up harvesting about 3 times faster than the models created in Europe. So America starts to really overtake a lot of the countries in Europe. All this machinery is mass produced, and so it costs less and is cheap to replace and maintain. All of this leads to an increased production in America's farms, and that leads in turn to a lower cost of grain. Grain is a staple crop for most people in the world at this time, so that's going to be important for the American economy. And America becomes the world's chief producer of grain. In fact, at this time, America will be second in the advanced farming societies of the world, behind only Britain. At this time, also, 1857, Michigan opens the first state college for agriculture. So we start to see a little bit more education for this as well. Americans are also the first to power farm machinery with steam, an even more important step in the increase of production, because now things don't have to be powered by hand or using animals. Even though the Southerners are the ones who are largely benefiting from these inventions, the Southerners still opposed industry in general. And the Southerners had a lot of power at this time. They dominated politics, especially in the Senate, where each state got 2 seats. And the Three-Fifths Compromise and the sheer amount of land the South had allowed them to make a lot of the decisions in the government and keep the North still kind of fighting for some preeminence there. So they blocked pro-industry laws, things like tariffs, which increased the price of goods coming into the U.S., if you'll remember back to the Tariff of Abominations, and the National Bank. And also they opposed spending money to increase transportation networks like railways, or railroads, canals, and roads, all things that they thought benefited the North more than the South. Nevertheless, industry continued to grow. The War of 1812 actually gave the North a good opportunity because that and the Tariff of Abominations meant that the South had to buy from the North rather than from Britain. So that gave the North kind of the competitive edge that they needed at the beginning. But also, more immigrants arrived from Europe, and they brought skilled labor with them. In fact, by 1860, the states north of the Mason-Dixon line employed 10 times more people than the South. And America is from the beginning very inventive. As a side note, in 1850, Cincinnati produced 2 million gallons of whiskey. That's 40,000 bathtubs full. So we can see the scale that they're producing.